Try not to fall asleep at the wheel after taking 8 bottles of NyQuil challenge. Try not to blow my brains out with a fully loaded gun pointed at my head and pulling the trigger challenge. Try to survive this 500-foot fall. Whether it be accidentally throwing your nipples up on screen or making the most brain-dead take you could possibly imagine, people are just so desperate for the clout titty these days. They'll do absolutely anything they can to get it. And I remember back in the day when YouTube was just a nice, wholesome place. You know, you could get attention by just playing video games or being yourself or having really big titties. It really was the peak of humanity when you think about it. My point is, people seem to be willing to do absolutely anything these days, no matter how crazy the challenge is or how dangerous the prank is. If it gets them views, they'll do it. And that just seems to be the philosophy that the internet has kind of shifted towards, especially, I would say, in the last couple years or so. And when it comes to this sort of thing, right, there always is a big, bright red line in the sand between what's viral and safe and what's viral and will probably get you a visit with Jesus Christ himself. And the part that sucks is that a lot of people always seem to go on this side of the line. They love living in danger. If I'm not in danger of getting ass blasted, am I really living? And that just seems to be the mentality around it. And it sucks. It's scary, man. Especially because on the other side of the line, there's a ton of potential out there for good ideas. Like, for example, one of the most recent examples that I can think of is the guy that did the world record most pull-ups you could do in 24 hours challenge, and he actually beat it. But he didn't risk his life to do that. He wasn't doing these pull-ups with a gun to his head if he failed, you know? Sure, his muscles were really hurting the next day, but overall, it's a safe challenge, at least when you compare it to everything else out there. Plus, the guy was in good shape, you know, at least worst case scenario, he becomes Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like, is that really a bad thing? He's not gonna die from the challenge is what I'm trying to say here. But again, once we go back to the other side of the line, we get people that are actually genuinely willing to put themselves in danger for just some number, some statistic on the internet. Doesn't that seem batshit insane to anybody else? There's this one YouTuber specifically that I'm thinking of, and that was the whole inspiration for this video idea here, that he's just notorious for putting himself through these horrible things that are not healthy by any stretch of the imagination. The most recent challenge he's doing right now in the making of this video is putting himself in solitary confinement for 30 days. And he's in the dark too. I know it probably sounds a lot like the Mr. Beast challenge where he put himself in solitary confinement, I think for 7 days or something like that. But you have to keep in mind here, with Mr. Beast, he was only in there for 7 days. And plus, he had a staff waiting on him. He had a doctor there in case he just keeled over and died. There was a lot of safety precautions in place for that. And even then, at 7 days, he still ran the risk of suffering mental health and physical health consequences. In the case of this guy's challenge, he's going for at least more than 4 times as long. He's got no staff waiting on him. He's in the dark. And I sure as hell know he's got no doctor watching over him. There is a massive difference between those two video types. And even though they cover a similar topic, it just feels so, I want to say grim to watch the one guy do it. And I don't know if that's because I know what the dangers are from a challenge like this, or if I'm just being a Karen, I don't know. But again, we come back to the point, the massive fucking point in the room. Sacrificing your health for a view on the internet is not worth it. Now, for those who don't know, I kind of mentioned it already, but solitary confinement is actually really, really bad for your health. So here we got some mental health side effects: anxiety, depression and hopelessness, anger, irritability, hostility, panic attacks, worse than pre-existing mental health issues, hypersensitivity to sounds, and there's so many of these. It goes even worse to stuff like paranoia, psychosis, fear of death, self-harm, or suicide. You know, this isn't some light-hearted, fun, happy, joy time, you know? And that's not even including the physical health effects. So, anyway, you get the point by now. This shit is dangerous. And this YouTuber is notorious for just doing these extreme challenges to himself. I gotta sneeze. Like, he tried to break the no sleeping record. I think the record was like 400 hours and he only stayed up for like 300. But still, putting your body through that and yourself and your health through that is not worth it. He also tried to do the no blinking challenge. I don't know how long he did that. I didn't look into it too much because I don't want to be harassed with somebody's eyeballs. But either way, not good for your health. Still, that is the whole message throughout this entire video. This is not good for your health. Now, this just might be one guy that I'm talking about here, and you might be going, it's only one guy, it's not really that bad. Well, there are other people who have tried similar challenges here. Now, granted, these people are usually full-time streamers or adults, or at least part-time streamers at the least. But the whole reason of today's video topic is because, frankly, I'm worried. I feel like a parent after my son says, hey, want to see me kickflip this? I'm worried that kids are going to see this and try and emulate the extremeness of it. Oh my god, voice crack. I'm still going through puberty, apparently. Now you might be thinking, kids, they're not that fucking brain dead. They wouldn't do something as crazy as that or stupid just for some views online, would they? Well, I present to you the article with the title, 17-year-old dies attempting viral subway surfing challenge. So I think the fear that this is going to become a pretty widespread thing and kids are going to look at stupid shit like this and think it's a fast track to being famous online, the fear of that is a pretty valid one. And I even think back to myself when I was a kid all those years ago. There was this one channel and genre of YouTube that I really, really enjoyed, and it's called Urban Exploration. I can't talk today, apparently. And in this urban exploration genre, they would go into abandoned buildings, they would climb cranes and do other crazy shit. They would train surf. Train surfing was the big one for me. I was super into that content because randomly, I love trains. Don't know why, I just do. But as a kid, I was always wondering, I wonder what it would be like if I made my own train surfing videos. Because, one, I love trains. I love making videos. I love adventure. And I'd see these videos online, and being the dumb fucking impressionable kid I was, I would want to do it too. Thankfully, I never did because I would absolutely 100% probably would have died. The point is, kids are impressionable and dumb, and if they see something online that they want to do, they're gonna emulate that shit to no ends. Now, I don't want to be the guy here that's like, oh my god, we gotta protect these kids. We can't let them see anything. Lock them in a room. Put them in bubble wrap right now. That's not what I'm saying here at all. What I am saying, though, is I don't think there's a need for challenges like this, where you are putting your mental health, your physical health, everything you are at risk. At least not with the intent of getting views. I don't know. I think something between having yourself tortured for views just sits not right with me. If it was done for, like, actual physical research, then I'd be all for it. And maybe that's a problem with me. And who knows, this is probably a huge overreaction on my part, but it's still something that I think should be talked about. And even though I kind of feel like a conspiracy theorist by going like, oh my god, the wave! The wave is coming, everybody! Run! Hide your kids! I think back to what times were like on YouTube in 2012, when challenges and pain were like the best way to grow your channel back then. Like, do you remember the cinnamon challenge? If you were alive back then, of course. The cinnamon challenge, the hot pepper challenge, the death in video game equals electric shock. You know, those were the days of 2012 YouTube. And there was a large period of time where that was just regular and people followed that trend. So, and obviously the challenges from 2012 are way different from the challenges that are today. I mean, the worst thing you could come out with in 2012 was either like a bruise or a sore stomach for a couple hours. To me, the challenges and the results from 2012 are just way different from getting... to me, that's just way different from the actual health effects that come from these other challenges nowadays. Oh my god, finally. Fucking did it. Fucking did it. Let's go. Now, I really hope, obviously, that doesn't happen. But knowing the internet and its anarchy, it probably will. Thanks for listening. Jesus, whatever.